Powered by Virginia. Radio.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the Bare Naked Truth Podcast, and we're back for another episode. I am your playground partner.
And you know who it is, man. This your favorite cousin. And we are back in here today with another dope episode for you.
Yes, sir.
And we are not alone. We got one of our special cousins in here with us today.
All right.
Please introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Victoria Paige. I'm a student practitioner of Vedic astrology, psychic mediumship, and card divination.
I'm going to need you to speak into the microphone, though.
Okay, let me try this again. So I'm Victoria Paige. I'm a student practitioner of Vedic astrology, psychic mediumship, and card divination.
Yep, you hear that? She could tell you your future. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Something like that.
I bet. So you know how we do before we get started. You know, we always got to hit y'all with some quick hits. You know what I mean?
There it is.
And I got some stuff I need to talk about because there's some stuff on my chest that's been burning me, bro. So you ready?
Let it rip.
All right then. So let's start it off like this. Cartoon Network, TV channel, shutting down.
Finally, about
after
time.
30 years.
Yeah.
They're gonna be merging with Warner Brothers, create digital content. You said finally.
Yeah. I said finally. And the reason being, when they first entered the scene, you know, they actually came with some good cartoons. And it just got worse over time.
Okay.
It got worse over time. And then Adult Swim, when that first came, it was like, okay. But then it just got out of hand.
Do you think cartoons, period, have got worse?
Of course. There's no censorship, you know.
Hold on, before you go there, though. I gotta stop you on that one. Did our cartoons really have censorship? Like, if you go back and watch some of the stuff we watched.
No, but things were subliminal. Things were subliminal, and so. But now it's just out in the open. It's just wide open now.
Okay.
You know.
Cartoon Network didn't Adult Swim didn't they have that controversy over some weird electronic music, and then they were like hitting babies on a table, and you guys know what I'm talking about?
Probably.
And some
Probably.
weird, you know, they took things to a weird place for sure.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so you know, I haven't watched cartoons in a long time. Yeah. But it's like, you know, damn.
Yeah.
Y'all done killed Adult Swim. Yeah. First was the muscle cars, now it's cartoon TV. I don't know. All right. So moving on, let's go here. Right. A topic me and you had off camera before.
Okay.
Sugar Free. Y'all know who Sugar Free is? Went viral for the song Free Game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where he had I like this lyric too. That's why I wrote this down. For those who not familiar with Free Game, is when he said if a girl got a bunch of play cousins and play brothers, they fucking her. You remember?
Yeah.
Sugar Free.
Oh yeah.
He's now married.
He's married.
What? Yeah. So the question I asked you, my brother, is the pimp game dead officially now?
No.
That Sugar Free done got married.
Not at all, man. You know, I mean, people have the tendency to grow, you know, and to evolve. You know,
man, pimping is dead now, man.
Maybe he just cashed in his pimp card.
Hey man, pimping is dead now,
Yeah,
bro.
pimping will never die.
It's dead now.
Pimping will never
It's
die.
dead, bro.
It just moved to the well.
Dead. Bishop Don Juan ain't doing it no more. Pimpin' Ken ain't doing. Iceberg Slim is dead, bro.
Oh
The
man.
game is officially done.
All right, next topic, man. I don't keep going on that. You know what I'm saying? That's a sensitive subject for me, man.
All right, Apple users. Anybody? Apple phones, okay.
I raised my hand. The one right here. She's an Apple user as well. Looks like someone's an outcast.
Apple is being fined 19 milli in Brazil for what's called abusive practice for not including chargers with the iPhone sales. Apple stopped doing chargers with their phones to say,
Hold on.
yeah.
Excuse me. Say that first part again, please, and say it with your chest.
You want me to say it with my chest?
Yes, sir, please.
Apple is fined 19 million in Brazil for abusive practice for not including chargers with iPhone sales.
Oh, well, yeah.
Now,
Okay, yes, that's a problem.
Apple says they stopped including chargers to cut down on electronic and package wasting. And they say that the world produces overall. They say consumers already own chargers, so bundling is wasteful. Is that facts or cap?
That's cap. They full of shit. They full of shit. They figured out, you know what? We can charge these people for chargers now. You know what I'm saying? So we can get extra money.
Yeah.
Sell them the phone. Then they got to pay for the charger too.
Yeah,
you know what I
even
mean?
if you got an old charger, they be like, well, you ain't got the lightning charger, so now you
Right.
gotta upgrade. Like,
Right.
oh,
So now you got to
God.
upgrade. They're full of crap. Mm-hmm. You know, trying to blame it on Mother Nature and the environment. Mm-hmm. You know, so
Samsung would never do their people like that.
Oh, there you go.
That's all I'm saying.
Watch, I can't wait till Samsung come out and hit you across your chin.
They already did, bro. When I got my new joint, I ain't had no charger dot either.
Really?
Nah.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
But I think it's crazy though, because I'm like, well, if they being sued for that,
Right.
shouldn't we sue fast food for going up on the prices and giving us the same damn combo meals?
That's it.
I mean, you go up $1 every year, you give us less fries,
Yeah.
the burger patty get thinner,
Yeah.
and we can't even get the drink mixed right at the fountain.
And then they don't even fill it up all the way.
Yeah,
You know?
you're mostly ice.
Ice. Yeah, exactly. Then, hey, well, you can tell them light ice, and they'll still load you up with ice. So,
They put 3 cubes in it. You be like, damn, bro.
yeah.
All right, so moving on. That's that. Something we spoke about last week. This one is a little bit more serious, actually. Okay, yeah. So, a teacher in Indiana arrested for admitting to making a kill list targeting students, staff members, and herself. This was at Saint. I'm gonna mess this all up.
Well, do what you got to do.
At Saint Stanislaus, I guess is how you say it, Catholic Parish School.
Hold on. Well, do it like they taught us in elementary school.
Sound it
Sound it out.
All right, hold on. Saint Stanislaus, whatever.
Yeah.
Just look it up. Shit. Catholic Parish School. Teacher Angelica Carrasquillo Torres. I
just
think I'm
butchered
saying
her
that right.
name.
Hey, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. That's the part that the girl will look at like he can't even read. He read like Floyd.
Well, hey, don't feel bad, man. I have a speech impediment, man. I stutter, man. So,
All right, so but anyway, so the teacher at the school told a 5th grade student that she had plans to kill herself and others, and then when brought to the principal, admitted to the claims. So this is why I was saying last week when we was up here that they should not have paddling back in the school because it'll be teachers who would abuse that. So do you think this actually stands as a testament to that?
Yeah, it does. I give you that one.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's a teacher though too. You know what I mean?
I know, but
I can understand if it was a student say he wanted to kill the teacher. He had a.
But that's what I'm saying. If you put paddling back in the school, whoever do it, teachers, principals,
Mm-hmm.
they may have other agendas that they haven't expressed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And we spoke on that too. You know what I mean? So with that, you know, they all said a teacher can be mad at a parent and take it out on the child. You know what I'm saying? So. You know, it's definitely a cruel, ugly world out here now, man.
Definitely.
You can't even trust the teachers now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, yeah, that's sickening. But I'm glad she admitted that, or he admitted that, you know, whatever the case may be, because that might be their cry for help.
It could be.
You know
what I'm saying? And especially, I know you got school-age children. You got children? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you probably got nieces and nephews and stuff. Okay, yeah. Same thing. So, you know, hearing that, does that kind of make you worried a little bit? Because this one may just be the one that came out that told somebody. But I'm sure there are other staff members or whatever who may feel the same way, just haven't said anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So.
Yeah. I think there are plenty.
Okay.
I mean, I think what it comes down to is this is why it's so important to have connection with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are getting to these severe points with their mental health, there is people around them to take notice and to, you know, help them get the support and help that they need. But I mean, as far as living in a state of fear of, you know, every day of what's going to happen to my niece and my nephews or my children's when they go to school, that's no way to live. You can't live in a state of fear. If something like that is meant to happen to you, it's going to happen. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time, but you can't live every day worrying about that.
Definitely true.
But what you can do though is be mindful of the people that are around you. Take care of your corner. Everyone takes care of their corner. We might get somewhere.
I agree with that.
Indeed that.
All right. And last but not least, to round out the quick hits for the day, they are remaking House Party. I sent my guy the clip.
Yeah, and
did you get a chance to watch it?
And you know what? When you sent me that clip, it opened up a whole portal. Okay, it really did, because I watched the clip.
Yeah.
Okay, and then hours later, I'm seeing House Party everywhere.
My fault.
Somebody else sent it to me too. I'm just like, oh my god. So yeah.
All right. So
I don't think it's gonna hold up to the old House Party. It's just not gonna. They could have kept this one, but who knows? You know, the clips just might be garbage. It might be actually good.
I'm gonna tell you what scares me a little bit, because I think, I think LeBron is in the movie.
Yeah.
I think this is one of his productions.
Yeah.
You know, for those of us who saw Space Jam, we know that was, well, it was decent at best, but I'm just like, movies like House Party.
Yeah, classic.
It still comes on TV. Leave it alone.
And they about to ruin it.
Leave it alone.
They about to ruin it.
I don't care if Kid and Play is in it.
They about to ruin the legacy.
Alone.
They about to ruin the legacy of the House Party.
House Party 3 already killed it. 2.
House Party 3 was good.
Man, no.
What?
No. House Party 2 was decent.
It was House Party 4 that killed it. House Party 3 with immature TLC and them in it. You know what I'm saying?
It was alright.
Oh my God, man. It was good with Chris Tucker.
No.
You gotta be kidding me, man. That was one of the best ones. House Party.
Hey, look, man, y'all weigh in, man. Do y'all think House Party 3 was good or was it trash?
Was House Party 3 a good?
At best.
I like it with Bernie Mac in there. Come on, man. Close that goddamn door. Air condition the whole neighborhood.
I'm gonna give it average at best, bro. That's why they
man.
don't play it that much, bro, because the joint wasn't that good, man.
I see it more than a little bit, man. But anyway, man.
Anyway.
Let's move on, man.
I got
I'm going that debate with you, man. House Party 3 is the best.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a stereotypical question, but whatever. So, I know with us, blacks, we have our classic movies that we be like, yo, you can't touch. You know what I'm saying? Some may even say, you ain't black if you ain't seen this movie. Do y'all have those kind of movies too?
Oh, man.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Put you on the spot. Tell the truth. Here you go.
You know, I'm sure that we do. What they are, I don't know. You know,
okay.
I'm not sure that I know what the answer to that would be.
I would say one would probably be Dude, Where's My Car?
Okay, I can take that.
I like that one.
I can see that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, that one reminds me of the one back in the day with Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm. What? Wayne's World?
No, not Wayne. He wasn't in Wayne's World.
He was. I mean, was it Wayne's World or Bill and Ted?
Bill and Ted. That's
what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
My fault, brother. They tried to remake that too, I think, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. They did an older version of them.
Mm-hmm.
Of those guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but hey.
Don't even matter.
Yeah.
All right, so look, that's all I got for quick hits, man.
All right,
you know what I'm
that's all you
saying?
got for
So
quick
yeah,
hits?
let's jump right into it.
Seemed like the quick hits wasn't too quick, was it?
Well, you dragged it out, bro. I was trying to slide through them, overthink over this junk. But anyway, let's get to the questions though, man. We got our cousin here with us today. You know what I'm saying? So, we got to talk.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's get into it, man. And I'm gonna let you start off with the first question.
You want me to set it off?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, I wasn't expecting this. Well, before we go, let's let the people know exactly what it is you do though with the arts and tarot readers and stuff like that.
She said that in the beginning.
I know, but you've been talking for the past 20 minutes. They probably forgot.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
So to remind everybody,
All right.
I'm a student practitioner of Vedic astrology. So it is a little bit different from Western astrology, which a lot of people might be more familiar with. And I also am a student of psychic mediumship as well as card divination. I do practice tarot, but I also practice a card system called Cards of Truth, which uses a regular playing deck, and the major arcana is included in that.
Okay, and with that being said, people, every time she touched down on this side of the turf, she breaks me down and brings me to tears. She
a little sensitive ass.
She always gives me the truth, man, and we always have these deep conversations, man, and her perspective and analogies and everything, and is always on point when it comes to me for some reason. She definitely feels something. I mean, it truly breaks me down. You know what I mean? And it's much needed. It's definitely much needed, and I very much appreciate it. So let's get into it.
All right. So you swinging it back over here?
Yes, sir.
God damn it, man. All right.
Did you ask your question already?
I did.
Okay, let's go.
I was called deflected. I was trying to swing it back to you, but you.
Yeah, so to kind of go into that a little bit more.
Okay.
So right now what I'm doing while I'm still practicing as a student, so I'm still in a lot of classes right now. But I do give readings, and the readings that I give are evidentially have been beneficial, but they're all donation based. So if you don't have any money, you can still come to me and I'll still be happy to give you that reading. So I can put some information too on my Facebook, so that if you do want a reading and you want to get a first-hand experience of what that's like, because as much as I can sit here and try to explain to you, this is what astrology is and this is what mediumship is, until you experience it, you're just not going to really be able to fully grasp how powerful of an art and science that it really is.
All right, so we got a call coming in. Go there.
All right, we have a caller. Power by Virginia Studios.
What's going on? This is Mr. Certified.
What up, bro?
What's going on, brother?
I ain't too much. I just wanted to say hello to Miss Victoria real quick.
Hello.
What up,
all right.
That's our third host, the Invisible Man. But he here though.
The guy on the couch.
I ain't too much. I was curious though while watching. I'm a little curious, Miss Victoria. Can you break Marcus down right now?
I think he's had enough of it.
Oh man.
Let's give Marcus a break.
That's why they call me Mr. Certified.
You just say break him down right now.
Break it down right now.
You would love to see that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he would. That's why he called. That's why he called. Look, before we can even get started good, look. He was like, I got to get his ass. Now I got to get him. It's all right. Hey, I'm going to see you broke down when them Steelers lose later.
Oh, man. Don't get started with that, man.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, turn your volume down in the back, sir.
But look, it's all good, man. But hey, look.
Actually, y'all in the background. I'm going to let y'all get back to it, but I just want to speak my piece.
All
That's
right,
what
brother.
it is,
Appreciate you
man.
calling, man.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you for bringing the laughs.
Have a good show.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
man.
sir.
All right, bet.
All right. Love you, brother.
Hey.
All right, bet.
Peace.
All right, so my first question now,
Okay.
is what is one of the biggest misconceptions that you face, especially like being a tarot reader? What are some things that people get confused or mixed up about with that?
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to really everything that I'm doing, not just tarot, astrology, psychic mediumship, especially, a lot of people don't really know what it is, or they're getting this kind of pop version of it that they're seeing on their social media feeds. And that's really only scratching the surface, and a lot of that information isn't even accurate. It's just entertaining.
Okay.
So yeah, so you deal with that a lot, like you know, and it's funny because I see it just a lot on my social media. The people that are around me, a lot of the people in my life have kind of in some way or another been on their own, you know, healing journey or spiritual journey, so they kind of are aware of the stuff, and I've given them readings. So in like my own personal life, I don't face too much of it, but I do see it out in the world of just people really not understanding what it is because of so much misinformation that gets spread around. But like people always freak out about Mercury retrogrades. Mercury goes retrograde about 3 or 4 times a year. Like,
what does that mean for those of us who be seeing it like, what the hell, Mercury, what?
So
Okay.
just to put it really simple, as far as like how it's affecting you, it's a time to kind of reflect on it depends where it's hitting you in your chart. So it might not affect you at all. There's a million different factors of if it will or not, but usually really it's a time of just kind of reflection. It is true that it can cause some issues with communication or electronics or your vehicle. That is true, but whether or not that is really that particular Mercury retrograde is going to have a major effect on you depends on where it's falling in your chart. But more or less, it's just a time where Mercury has its energy is closer to Earth, so you're feeling its effects more.
Cool.
That answers that.
Yep. So it's kind of like when people like, man, my heart a little heavy. You know, they had that big one like Fred Sanford used to have. Like,
it's the big one that Elizabeth. Yeah. That was one of my favorite things.
With any transit or anything that's going on that you might see a post about, it really, when you're not looking at it as far as like mundane astrology, it really just depends on what your chart looks like and how it's affecting your chart. If it's going to be something that's going to heavily affect you, or maybe you get a pass on that one and it doesn't really.
Right. So being broke is not a sign of Mercury retrograde. If you broke all year, you just broke all year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more kind of nuanced than that. It just depends on where it's hitting you in your chart.
Okay.
But yeah, but there's a lot of misconceptions, or like the one thing too that I really I would hope to see people maybe stop doing so much is you'll get those posts where it's like everybody hates a Leo or like you know.
I mean, but let's be real though. How many people really like Leos?
Oh. You know.
I'm just playing Leos. I love y'all.
Yeah. No. What's funny about it is that we all have these energies in our chart in some way or the other. It's not just your sun placement. It's not just your moon placement. It's not just your ascendant. Those are your personal placements, but you still have all these other areas of life that are being affected by the same energy. You know, so I just think it's funny though to be like, oh, this person's sun is Leo, so I hate all Leos now. It's like that could be their only placement in Leo. They might not even have, you know. So it just, yeah, I think it's funny, but also too, it's like if you're truly studying, taking the time to dive deep and study astrology, the last thing you're going to do with that is start segregating people and separating people. You know, it gives you an understanding of life and an understanding of people that, you know, just doesn't really leave room for that kind of separation.
Man, you get that door, man.
Right.
Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you hit me with your first question?
All
Let's do this.
right,
Come on.
let's go. Yeah. All right. I'm going to bounce around a bit. Okay. You want to start the first one? Let's go. All right. So,
Go on, sir.
all right. I think you should close the door all the way.
But it didn't.
Okay. So,
some retrograde pushed it back over.
so it is said that numerology is to be an aspect of astrology, which deals with self-discovery and predictions. How true is that? And what are your thoughts on that?
So it is completely true. So astrology is completely numerically based. So not only can you assign a number to the houses, but you can assign it to the zodiac itself. So Aries is the 1, Taurus is the 2, Gemini is the 3. But it's really 3 is Gemini. So the names of them or the animal symbols, that all came later as just an easy way to reference it. But the planets, the houses, and the signs themselves can all get broken down into numbers. So it's 100% numerically based. And then the second part of that question with self-discovery and predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Astrology is giving you the ability to observe yourself, observe your patterns. So it's all self-discovery. It's and the prediction part of it, I don't weigh so heavily in on the prediction part of it, because I feel like that can only get you so far. I think it can be useful in the sense of, okay, I'm looking at your chart, and what this is giving me is it's kind of like a reflection of your behavioral patterns. So if you keep on the same pattern, this is going to be your outcome. But you have the ability to become aware of those patterns and to change them to get a better outcome.
Okay.
So that's kind of where the prediction part of it can be really powerful for a person who is just a non-believer and is like, oh, this is foo-foo, and I'm not going to listen to what you have to say about me of what needs to be healed based on my chart, because I just think it's BS. Prediction can be really powerful in that way for that person, because then they have something concrete and tangible to be like, okay, wait a second, there's something to this now. Yeah. How were you able to know that? And then it kind of helps them be more open and dive into it. But the one message that I want to get out there too, as far as using astrology for predicting future events, is that you should never be getting reliant on astrology. The point of it is to be able to learn yourself enough, become aware of yourself, to be self-realized, so that you can I'm blanking.
Don't feel bad, it happens to all of
I
us.
know. I just love
it happens to us too.
So it's like, oh man, I completely lost where I was saying. I'm just picking up somewhere else. So but yeah, it's a really, I look at it with my life, right? So from when I first met Marcus, so before I had any of this stuff, any of these tools, and that's really what it is, it's a tool in my life, I was depressed, I was not wanting to be here every day of my life that I woke up, I was not making right decisions for myself, and what this gave was a way to have myself reflected back to me in this unbiased way, and then to be able to use that and apply what I learned from it in my life to make my life better. So it's a really powerful tool, but it's not something that I really feel like can just be explained to you and then you're convinced of it. It's something that you really have to experience for yourself, and the same is true with tarot too. So like, get a tarot deck, pull a card each day, ask what is the highlight card of my day, or what is what I need to hear right now, and through doing that, you'll see that it connects every single time. And maybe the first couple times you'll tell yourself, oh, I'm just making that connect, I'm making it fit, I'm making it apply. But the more that you do it, it becomes really undeniable.
Right.
And even like when I'm doing spreads for other people, and maybe I do one spread for them, and on the same subject I go and I do another manual spread, and we get a lot of the same cards, and they're always amazed, and they're like, how you just shuffled, how did we get the same cards? Well, because this works and it's real, and
playing the cards you was dealt.
Yeah, because it makes sense, right? This is the energy that we're dealing with, so these are going to be the cards that come up.
Okay.
So this is after the fact, after you've done some studying, and begin to understand it, if you make the choice to get into it, I'm reverting back to where you said to pull a card every day. So, but this is when you have grasp some understanding of it.
And don't be trying to do like Uno and pull the card that you want. Like, no, that ain't it.
Yeah.
They're the one I like right here.
Right.
No, don't do that.
No, it has to be that.
And I just remember what I was saying about predictions. Okay, is you don't want to become reliant on it. So the purpose of this is to become self-realized, to get in touch with your inner knowing. So really, the more, in a way, it's like the more that I get into astrology, the less urge that I have to be like, what's about to happen in a month from now? What's going to happen when I go to this event? Because you learn to start trusting yourself. You start to trust the universe. You become empowered. So if you start using this for every decision that you have to make in life, every little bump in the road that comes up, and you're like, I need to go to an astrologer, I need to find out, you're not getting the message. you're off course. You're living in a state of fear. You're not trusting the universe. You're not trusting yourself. You're not having, I say universe, you could say God, whatever you want to say there. But and that's really the point of it, is to become empowered and self-realized. And in doing so, you heal yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So with that being said, leads into my next question.
Don't break him down before he get into his next question, so T.O. will be happy.
How does astrology provides more insight on life and relationships?
So when you start learning patterns that you have, I almost want to tell you to answer that one. Right?
Yeah, go on, answer it, bro. Go on, answer the question.
No, I can't answer it.
Yes, you can. Go on and give it a stab, Playboy.
I don't really do that to him, but
no, I can't do it for the vine.
Yeah. But when you learn, when you have this understanding of yourself, and you're starting to get rid of the disillusion, and you're finding, your true self through this, you get to a point where then you know what you need, right? Mm-hmm. So it can show you. You can do compatibility with astrology, right? So you have one part of it of how compatible are you. How much are you going to be on the same wavelength? How easy is it going to be for you guys to relate to each other emotionally, intellectually, with the things that you like to do, the places? You can see all that through your astrology chart. But then it can also show you, for each person, their individual capacity to be in a relationship.
Right.
So there's the part of it, are you compatible? The part of it, do you have the capacity to do it? And the good news about this is, like, let's say I look at your chart and I'm like, well, you got a low capacity for being able to be in a healthy relationship. But I can also tell you where those points are that need to be healed, what is tripping you up. And sometimes when we're going about our lives, it's not always easy to see those patterns. It's not always easy to see those things within us. So this kind of gives us this tool to kind of mirror those things back to us, so that we can do something about it, Mm-hmm. So first step in any kind of change is you got to be aware of it. You got to know what the problem is. You got to know what the pattern is.
Right.
So yeah, astrology can be really useful in that way. If you realize that, you're in a pattern with relationships, you're female, and you're always going after these guys that are
toxic.
Are toxic.
There you go.
It's like you can kind of see, well, what's going on in your chart.
Yeah.
You've got some afflictions with your moon that's making you, super lovesick, or you're ruled by the moon, and that's just your natural energy. And how can we work with that? So, what astrology can do for you, and all of these esoteric sciences is really limitless in my eyes. And it becomes limitless for the fact that your end product of it, if you walk the path truly and faithfully, is to be self-realized. So it's to not have these not self themes, to be not living in a way that's not true to ourselves. Because that's the other part of it too. It's like, how are you going to be in a fulfilling relationship if you're not even being true to yourself? You're only going to ever get into relationships with people that were attracted to that not self.
Right. Got you. So let me ask you this. With that, what do you think about the people who base their actions solely on their zodiac, or base their relationship compatibility solely on zodiac signs? Like, people will say, oh, well, the reason I'm this way is because I'm a Capricorn, or I'm like this because I'm a Taurus, or whatever. Or they'll say, like, well, I'm Aquarius and I only date Sagittarius and Scorpios and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
So what's funny about that is what people are missing is, like, okay, so we were talking about Leos earlier, right? And Leos can sometimes get
one likes a Leo. I'm just playing Leos.
They can sometimes get this bad rep for being the center of attention and it having to be all about them. That is an imbalance, Leo. Okay, so that's it's lower expression coming out due to afflictions. But the true essence of Leo is actually to be like the sun, which is to be self-sacrificing for the kingdom that you're creating, just as much as like a king would do, right? And that's the true essence of it. So it's funny when people are talking about that, they're really just talking about this unhealthy expression of that sign, right? And sometimes, and I think what's cool too is that astrology gives us this language to talk about these things, such as energy. Just of, maybe you do realize that Capricorns in general, that hard, serious, stern energy just doesn't work with you.
you know.
Trying to say.
So it can.
Just trying to say.
So, but it can be good to kind of, you know, and that's something that you're now learning about yourself, right? Is that this kind of energy, it doesn't mean that energy is wrong. It doesn't vibe with my energy. Okay. So it's cool because it gives you that language to talk, and same thing with the self-discovery. It's giving you a language to talk about all of these things. We don't have that much of a language to talk about these subtle energies.
Right.
You know, just in recent, like vibe, right? What are we talking about when we're saying vibe? Like I'm vibing, you know, or someone killed the vibe, or they sucked the air out. It's their energy. But that's like a recent slang word, right? That's not that old. Yeah. So it's like we're only just really starting to mainstream that.
I think with vibe, it changed because, you know, vibe is a new thing now for feeling the energy, but before it was like, you know, we just, people would say like how we connect and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think they've changed the
we finally have a word that coins that whole definition. Yeah. You know?
That's some phone, man. Who that? Yeah.
You already know. That's it.
Go.
Powered by Virginia Studios.
Hello?
Who that? Wrong number.
No, I got to call in because I got something to do. But I got a serious question. I don't know if y'all talked about this because I told Dan late, but I really got a question from Miss Victoria, right?
What's up?
Okay.
When you talk to people about tarot cards and astrology stuff, I'm just wondering, has somebody been ignorant that they call you a certain name, like a witch or something, or like a gypsy or something, because you know what they're talking about? Because like a lot of people get labeled a certain way when they don't understand what they're, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up actually, because this was one of the points that we wanted to touch on.
Yeah, this was one of my questions.
You stole the thunder.
No, it's perfect though. It's a good segue into it. So yeah, a few things happen with that. I mean, divination is part of the Wicca culture and witchcraft, which I think that whole thing in itself gets a bad rep. I think it's funny that we're so afraid of witches, right? Where in history do we have all of this like evidence that witches were doing crazy things or bad things? What we do have evidence of is people
not understanding
them and then burning them at like literally setting them on fire.
Right.
So,
people fear what they don't understand.
Yeah, people fear what they don't understand, and I don't I personally I don't identify as a witch. I don't really identify as anything. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and all of this is just mimicking all this esoteric sciences. It's mimicking the human psyche and nature. There's like, I mean, I don't think it gets any more natural than this line of work. But yeah, you're gonna always have people that are afraid of what they don't know, and that's okay because it's not my mission to try to convince somebody else who is bent on viewing something a certain way and converting them over.
Yeah, you didn't answer the question I had.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you're ready for that, you're at that place in your conscious evolution. Something will happen. You will become open to it. You will have an experience. It will. There will be a calling to it. So I'm not going to waste.
Yeah, that was my question. To see if people call you names or something. That was my question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to eventually deal with that, but I haven't. The people around me, like I said, they're seeing firsthand how this has affected my life,
right?
And just me as a person, how I even respond to them in situations has changed, right? So the proof is kind of in the pudding. So like the people around me, I was skeptical at first of all of this. But when you start living it evidentially and you see the power in it and you see the beauty and the love and the healing and the understanding, all of that just falls right to the wayside. And as far as for anybody else, it's okay. Think what you're gonna think. That's fine. That's not my mission to change how you're living your life. But you might want to ask yourself, why is your mission to try to change how I'm living my life?
Yeah, but you're definitely a witch though, T.O. Don't get that twisted. You're definitely a witch.
Time out. I was talking to Victoria. I won't talk to y'all.
When you call in my show, you respect the host, sir. Don't make me get like Martin. You're a caller right now. Damn it.
You answered my question. I just want to see how ignorant people can be to certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. Well.
Big question.
Yeah. Well.
I'm gonna leave y'all with this. I'm gonna let it go.
Okay. Well, look.
It's the bad side, and Kevin Bay is getting beat right now. And so I'm gonna let y'all have a good rest of the show.
All right, man.
Hey,
All right,
you.
sir. Have a good one.
He gonna cry in the car if they lose. Well, go ahead. All right. So, our question is, with what you do, like, what is the difference between Vedic astrology and actually, like astrology of like horoscopes and stuff like that?
Like Western astrology?
Yeah.
Western, yeah.
So traditional Vedic astrology uses sidereal zodiac placements. Western astrology uses tropical. The type of astrology that I practice and study, it's using Vedic astrology techniques, but it's still using tropical placements, and then we still incorporate something called nikshatras. That is, I think, in Western astrology called like the 12 lunar mansions. So nikshatras are the path in which the moon travels. It's the constellations that it's traveling
Gotcha.
through.
Okay.
So that's another misconception. So with astrology, with Vedic astrology, the nikshatras are connected to the stars, but the zodiacs themselves are not necessarily connected to the stars. And you can see that it doesn't actually line up. So the zodiac constellations in the sky aren't an even 30 degrees like the zodiacs that we use for this. And that's because it was really being used more as like a reference points when it comes to the zodiac signs as far as the stars. So instead of your ancient astrologers having to sit there and do all the math and calculate where each thing is, it was easier to just say, oh, you see that constellation? That's Aries. You know, and
I see it.
You see it, yeah, it's right there. It's
Okay,
right there. It's
okay.
right in this room.
Gotcha.
So I've never studied Western astrology, and I'm not opposed to it. So I can't speak too much about what the differences are because I haven't practiced both. But I know with Vedic astrology, you're not just looking at your Rashi chart, that main birth chart. You have something called these Varga charts, these divisional charts that kind of break everything down into further detail of different aspects of the life. So from my limited perspective, I feel like Vedic astrology gives you a little bit more mythology. It's a little bit more rooted in culture, and I think you have a little more tools in your toolbox. But I highly respect Western astrology and really any astrologer that's out there. So I just don't know enough about both sides to really give you like the clear answer on that. But the placements are usually the biggest difference of where you're calculating the zodiacs from. But like I said, with the way that I practice Vedic astrology, I'm still using those tropical placements. So it doesn't have that difference in the way that I practice it.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next question. How do you feel about the transformation of energy, and do you consider it to be real?
Yeah, so this is a big question, and disclaimer, I'm not a physicist. Right? But there's a lot of really great information out there where science has really caught up to this, and they still are, and they're going in that direction. But yeah, and like I said, like how we're talking about vibe, look in your own life and your own experience. Is energy transfer for real? We are ultimately inherently energy. Everything is energy in this universe. So to think that there can't be these subtle energy exchanges is just kind of, I think, incomplete.
Okay. Well, let's not even talk about the subtle. Let's speak about the known. Like, you know, some people have energy, like, you know, you can be in a good mood and they're not. And sometimes your good mood may rub off on them, or their bad mood may rub off on you. Now, what about the transfers of energy through like contact? Or maybe through like, I don't know, something like sex or something, where it's like, you know, this person may have a bad energy, you know, they mingle with this other person, and now it's basically moved itself over to that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really real thing. One of the really interesting things I found when I first started studying was that my teacher kind of explained this to me, was if you are consistently having intercourse with somebody for 6 months or longer and it's consistent, that you go for a reading for astrology, you're energetically entwined to the point where I can now look in one person's chart and predict what's happening with the other person.
Wow.
That's how intertwined you get. So it is, you know, and that doesn't necessarily happen if it's not, you know, that 6 months time and it being consecutive. But yeah, you know, be mindful and be selective of who you are sharing.
Y'all
your
better
energy
get better
with in that
sneaky
way.
links.
You know, like do your thing, have fun, you know, whatever, or do some energy cleansing maybe after if you're not sure.
So with that being said, though, too, when you're having sexual intercourse with multiple people, you absorb all of that energy from these different people.
Who absorbs the energy, the man or the woman?
You do.
All of
everybody.
So it's constant. You know, I'm asking because some people always be like, oh, well, you know, the men are the senders and the women are the receivers. You know what I'm saying? So most people would think it's only a one-sided thing, but
but no.
Both people are.
I mean, that's just like, let's say for instance, okay, you have multiple partners. One of your partners have an STD. And you having sex with this partner, then you go back and transfer it over to this partner. It's the same thing with that energy.
Physical,
right.
Like a physical transfer, but yeah.
Yes, right. So, but no, it's a spiritual. You know, it's a spiritual transfer. You know, and then you absorb that energy. You know, and you begin to feel a certain way and don't know why, or you feel that way.
You change it. You don't act the same no more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so energy too, and it's like this kind of ties into like intuition a little bit. You ever meet somebody and you're just like, oh, gut feeling, like not their energy. There was just something off about their energy.
Yes.
So it's like it's real, right? You can pick up on it. You can acknowledge it. You can it's real. And kind of too, like what we're doing with psychic mediumship work, like with psychic work especially, you're tapping into a collective energy and intelligence. So it's kind of like if these energy transfers weren't real, I don't think that any of this work would work. You know, any of this stuff would work. So, but yeah, and you can feel it. And the other thing too that I really wanted to hit on today was intuition. Everybody has intuition. Okay. It is kind of like, to think of it like it's a muscle. So some of us might naturally have that bigger muscle and we're more intuitively connected. Your psychic mediums, obviously that's going to be there. But you don't, just like with any other muscle, right, it can be worked out and it can be grown. And the way to do that, the way to start doing that is you first have to honor your intuition. And the more that you're honoring it, the more that you are listening to it, that feeling or that voice is going to get louder and louder, and it's going to become easier and it's going to become stronger. But one thing that I just feel like a lot of people don't realize is that psychic mediums, they're not just this like select few chosen ones. With enough practice, you too can develop these abilities. Everybody can. The way that I like to think about it is, I think
questions before I get there.
I'm just kind of going. You know,
you good.
So, but I think for like people that have had these experiences since they were really young and there was no ignoring it, I kind of look at those people. Well, maybe they've just been doing this for so many past lives that they innately are coming into this world with having these placements that make them just naturally more sensitive, make this muscle a little bit bigger, and make them more in tune. But that doesn't mean that you can't develop it. Just be, you know. So I want to get away from the idea of people thinking there is still mystical components to all of this, right? Because we can't necessarily explain everything, right? So that's where the mystery comes in. But it's not mystery in the sense like these people have superpowers that are beyond being human. This is a part of the human experience. It is just at a higher consciousness level.
Right.
Okay. So I want to touch on something you said here. I'm gonna stir the pot a little bit.
Stir it.
All right. So you said past lives.
Okay. Here we go.
So does that mean when someone dies, their energy is transferred? So do you believe people actually go to heaven or hell, or that energy is transferred back down through another being?
Or they reincarnate?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So when you're talking about in astrology becoming self-realized and liberated, you're talking about breaking the cycle of reincarnation.
Okay.
But yeah, I think to me, in my life experience, there is no death in the way that we see it. Energy can't be created or destroyed. And it's funny that we ignore that fundamental principle when it comes to our being as being energy.
Okay.
So no, it gets transferred, and it's kind of like if you still have work to do, if you haven't been able to remember your true spiritual essence, you're going to reincarnate and you're going to come back here and you're going to have another go. Or if you still have karmas that need to be burnt, you're going to reincarnate. But I think that the goal is to become liberated, and to not have to keep in that cycle.
Right.
So And with mediumship, it can to know that and to understand that can bring so much healing and so much closure, to know that your loved ones in spirit, they're not just gone forever. They are with you all the time. And if you, like I said, if you're open and you can kind of follow the intuition and those feelings, you'll be able to recognize it. And what's so funny to me when I start talking about mediumship with people, even when they're skeptical, they always have at least, 1, 3, 5 things, whatever, of their own personal experiences with this, which is so funny. But we are so trained that none of this can be real that we dismiss it. We just won't even think about it. We'll be like, oh, that was weird. And just completely dismiss it, which is so crazy. I lost one of my good friends not too long ago, and his girlfriend Katie, she had a memorial. Sorry, didn't mean to drop the name, but she had a memorial, and she purposely set it until 3:31 because March 31st was his birthday, and at 3:31 the power went out.
Wow.
So to me, it's like those are signs from your loved ones.
Right.
They are there, so they're in this state of energy, right? So they are able to have this
I
effect
think we
on
do
things
see it,
like
but
electricity.
Yeah.
We don't acknowledge it. Like, because it's probably something we can't explain. We like, well, I don't know. Like, I give you a prime example. When my grandmother passed, I thought this was crazy. So, all the me and all my cousins, we all in there. She was in hospice or whatever. And so, one of the friends of the family, she was there. They were like, when they pass, don't touch them or whatever. So, we're all in the room. The door was closed. And she went in to give my grandmother a kiss on the forehead, and the door flung wide open. And I was like, yo, which one of y'all pushed the button? And it was like, ain't nobody do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it was like, it's just one of those weird things. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo, was her spirit leaving, or was this it? Or, so it's, I definitely agree. Like, it's one of the things you can't explain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I just think, we're here, we're spirit having a human experience, right? We're meant to be here to experience. We're not meant to be here to deny our true nature, the spiritual aspect of ourselves. And I feel like when you deny these experiences, you are denying that part of yourself. But we have to kind of pull back the layers of all the fear that's around it and all the stigma that's around it, of you're crazy if you believe in this stuff, or you're out there, or whatever. It's just really not true. And that's not going to say that there's not going to be some people.
There's quite a few on, that
might have, some, and that might be, but that's not going to be your vast majority of it. But I just think it's interesting with all this stuff. It's like, if you kind of just flip that question back to like, well, what have your experiences been in life, and what have you noticed? It's people always have almost like a book full.
Man, there's one time when I was 6.
Yeah.
It
really works like that. And what was cool is, I'm in a year-long program for mediumships right now. I work with Tony Stockwell. He's world-renowned, and he's big in the UK. And what's been cool about this is not only in our practice sessions, obviously I end up practice doing mediumship and give readings for other people, but I'm constantly getting readings as well back. And even though I was having these own experiences myself, this is kind of how brainwashed we are into this. It's just like the whole time I was going through it, I felt like I was going insane, noticing some of the stuff as this was kind of awakening in me. Because I didn't understand it. It's just not a normal thing. So it wasn't like as these experiences happened, I was like, oh yeah, that's what this is, until I had the experiences and then looked into it, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not alone in this. This happens. It's, what it is. But, I think that it's interesting even for myself. Like, I went into it completely skeptical, and then like through just all the experiences that I had, it's undeniable that your loved ones are with you all the time. And when you don't have to be a psychic medium either to communicate with them. Ask them for a sign, and chances are you're going to get it.
And don't be upset with the answer you get in return.
That's it.
Because sometimes you be asking for them signs, and they happen, and you be like, well, that ain't what I was hoping. Well,
right.
Sometimes the answer you want, the answer you're looking for, ain't the answer you want.
Right, or the answer you need.
Yeah. So what you did say you went in skeptic. So what was it that sparked your interest to go into this?
So I originally started studying astrology first. I had studied psychology for quite a few years, and
You a shrink?
No, I'm not a shrink. I didn't go all the way, so I stopped my schooling with it because I worked for this partial hospitalization program actually right here in Norfolk. I don't think they exist anymore because it ended up being very corrupt, and one of the doctors who was not corrupt kind of took me under his wing, and he was like, "This is the industry. You're really working more for the insurance companies than you're able to work for the patients themselves, and it gets messy. There's so many kind of almost like roadblocks that get put into people's ways to really be able to help people in the way that they need to be able to help them." So it kind of broke my heart with it. It was something that I had wanted to do since I was 12 and was obsessed with. I've always been just obsessed with the human psyche and what's going on underneath. And so from there, I knew that wasn't going to be my path. I knew that at that point, it kind of felt like a trap. Like, all right, I'm going to continue to go into all of this debt and then not be able to ultimately have the goal of really being able to help people in the way that I want to. And not that there aren't therapists out there that are great and are able to do that. They are, but it takes a long time in the game to really be able to get to that point. So I just kind of, I knew about astrology. I didn't really know how I felt about it because I didn't know enough about it. But the way that I felt was, this is worth looking into. It deals with the human psyche. It's kind of similar to psychology in that way. And this science has been around for thousands of years. Thousands. Nothing survives thousands of years if there's not some truth to it. And so that kind of like originally piqued my interest, and then I went online and I started searching things, and I quickly realized that there's so much conflicting information out there that contradicts each other, and that it wasn't going to be something I was going to be able to find the credible sources on it on my own, that I needed to find somebody who had already kind of gone through this process. I needed a teacher. And within a week of like having this, epiphany that I was going to need a teacher, having a casual conversation with somebody, they connected me to my first Vedic astrology teacher, and that's what my first teacher practiced, and that's how I got into the Vedic over the Western. But then from there, I got into card systems and card divination. So like I said, cards of truth. I was taking a class for that, and at the same time, I started having all these experiences with an ex-boyfriend that had passed. And I felt like I was losing my mind. I was getting all these signs, and it was even a couple of years after he had passed too, which was weird. And then in this card class, I was learning about this card that I was running and how it can actually be a card of channeling spirit. So I wrote this email to my teacher of just like, these are all the experiences that I'm having, and this card was running at that time. So do you think that's what it was? And she kind of wrote back this most encouraging email I think I've ever gotten in my life, and was just like, she's given me readings before. She's like, I've looked at your chart. I think that you can do more than astrology. Tony Stockwell is somebody I study from. Go to one of his day programs, take this class, see what you can do, because you've got it. And I went to the class, and I was able to connect to spirit, and I was able to psychically connect for people too. And I was so baffled. I was like, I don't know how I did that. And I have such a scientific brain too, so it drove me insane. It was like, I don't understand how I was able to do this. Well, like how, I could feel it, and it felt real. So the way that for mediumship works for me, I don't actually see the spirits. It's more, it's clairsentient. So it's like I'll feel their presence, I'll tap into it, and then I'll start getting kind of like flashes of images, or even just feelings. I don't really know how to explain it because it's hard to explain, but it's just like through the feelings that I have, I'm able to kind of pull information that ends up being accurate and detailed and all that. So mediumship itself too is different for everybody. I've worked with mediums that they're able to just to see the spirits, people that see it at all times. For myself, it's not something that's constantly going on. I have like a hard boundary with it. So I kind of have to go into this like meditative state and then tap in, and then that's how I'm able to do it. So long and short is kind of from my ex passing, and him just kind of like, reaching out enough to where I got it.
Go this way.
Yeah.
Okay. So that.
And then from there, from taking, I threw myself into like a year-long course, and where now I get to like practice every week and all the time. And so far there really hasn't been any, times that what was cool about it too, because like I said, I really kind of got thrown into it. So when even though I was having these experiencing and seeing firsthand that it was real, I still had that skepticism. And then, but through all of it and through the experiences and getting readings myself, you know, it broke all that. It shattered it. And now it's like, there's no question now. Now to me, it's like, it's so crazy to not have understood this before.
Right. Okay. Well, you covered one of my questions there, and I was going to ask you to explain.
I'm starting to wonder because you been like, hold up, man. You just answering stuff I ain't even got to yet. Wait.
Yeah. You just answered one of my questions. Right. Could you explain how it felt from your side, you know, reading and everything? So you covered that. And I have one question here. Are psychic mediums the chosen ones? Or is this something that can be, you know, discovered or worked towards and developed? Yes.
Yeah.
So kind of answered that too.
Yeah,
she did. I went into that a little bit.
Yeah, she did.
But it's
covered a lot.
Worth mentioning. Is worth.
Yeah, because we have new viewers, you know, coming in. So, you know.
Well, welcome to the BNT podcast. If you're just tuning in, You know what I'm saying? I'm your
for sure.
humble host.
Got Miss Ruiz.
You know what I mean? And we are
That
here with our
Day,
cousin Vicky.
Miss Glasgow, and everyone else who may be watching.
Victoria Paige. Okay, I can't call her Vicky. I apologize.
But yeah, no. So to answer your question is again everybody, and I find too, because what we're with intuitive abilities, it relates to the moon and this yin quality. Yin is inherently female, so for women too. And I'm going to kind of answer your question, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of something else too, because I think this is important. But to answer your question, yes, intuitive abilities, everybody has intuition, and it is something that can be developed and worked with to strengthen these abilities. As far as mediumship goes, I mean, I think that anything that you, like for myself, I was just able to do it. It wasn't something that I had to like practice at to get, and I know with psychic work it's definitely something that you can practice and you get, and I think with mediumship you can as well. It just might take a little bit longer. It's not as easy. I know a lot of psychics that are able to do psychic work but they're not able to do mediumship, but I don't think it's a sense of chosen ones as much as it's like this is what you're meant to be experiencing in this life and playing this role, or that you've had past karmas in your other lives where you were already working on these things, so it's just coming more natural. That veil is a little bit thinner for you just naturally. You know, so the other part of this that I wanted to get to with mediumship, I'm about to lose my train of thought again. So you asked me, so with women. So women, I think naturally are more in tune, right? So women's intuition, that's not a new phrase. We've all heard it before. And what I think is really important about this is that we have to stop gaslighting women. And I think that this happens a lot in...
that's a trigger warning right there.
Yes, it is. Hold on. But no.
But it needs to be said.
It's just not women. It's also women that gaslight men.
It goes both
ways.
ways.
We ain't talking about that. Stay the course.
Of course, don't gaslight anybody, all right? But the real point of what I'm saying is I feel like for women, we've really lost touch with our type of intelligence, which is just this inner knowing. The masculine, the young principal is more of an intelligence of knowing how to do things. But, you know, studying book, getting it. Women's intelligence comes from just knowing. The moon is all knowing. So it's a different type of thing, but I feel like as women, we've kind of lost touch with it because when we go to say, I just have a feeling on this, or we're very quickly dismissed. And of course that can happen to men too, right? That can happen to everybody, because there's men that are more sensitive and more yin and tapped in just naturally. But I just really feel like with women, we're so disconnected from this. And I also see because of that you do get a lot of women that get attracted to this whole idea of being a witch, because you're bringing it back to those yin principles of nature, of intuition, of being in harmony with the earth and with each other, and just a more natural style of living, which is really very yin. But my message is we have to stop gaslighting people. It is it is really damaging. And it's not just a harmless lie. It's not just them trying to get out of trouble. It is really damaging. You're taking away that person's ability, and especially for parents too that do it to their children. Don't do it to your children. Okay, I don't, have those real talks with them. Do what you got to do, because you can't take away their ability of being able to trust their own reality and their validation and those feelings and their intuition. Like I said earlier, the first step into developing your intuition is to acknowledging and honoring it and validating it and following it. Mm-hmm. When you have a feeling and you're like, nope, I don't, for whatever the situation is, I have a feeling about it, my intuition's telling me no, and you have somebody else telling you, you're ridiculous, and so then you go along with them, you've just hurt your connection with your own intuition. And when you're connected with your intuition, you're connected with your higher self, with your soul's expression. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be what's going to lead you to what's true to you and true to your path and where you need to be. So it is so, fundamentally important for us to be connected, for everybody to be connected to the side of themselves. But I see it more with women, that it does get shut down quicker than with men. Right. So if a man goes, I got a bad feeling about that, they're more likely to just be respected. Where a woman does it, goes, you're just being a girl.
So now I wanna make the clarification of what you say with feeling. Speaking feeling as in that internal feeling, not the one that go against fact and logic, like the sky's blue. Well, I feel like if it ain't blue, it ain't. When you talk about that feeling, we talk about that one inside that's like, that I guess that subconscious voice is like, hey, look,
it's in your gut.
Don't go that route, go this way. That feeling.
But hold on, here's the thing, right? I hear a lot of people say it's in your gut. Now, how would you be able to tell the difference from having bubble guts or having
you got a fart? Because you got a fart as opposed to take a poop.
I gotta say, I've never had the issue of trying to figure out when I'm having an intuitive hit or when I have to go to the bathroom.
Well, it might not be you. It might be someone else. Someone else might not be able to, to tell the difference. Well,
here's the problem with that.
Intuition isn't gonna hurt.
Right.
The intuition told you not to eat that chili. You're right. You ate it anyway.
Hey, there you go. That's a valid point.
Yeah.
All right. So I noticed you did say there's a difference between being a medium and a psychic. So I have a question that's kind of that. What's the difference from tarot readings? The stuff we see with the crystal ball and being a psychic or being able to speak to the dead. What's the difference between all those, or is it a difference?
Yeah. So, there is a difference. So when you're doing psychic work, you're tapping into a collective stream of intelligence. With mediumship, you are connecting to your loved ones in spirit. So there is a fundamental difference, but with everything that you're doing, whether it's not so much psychic and mediumship work, but as far as tarot to astrology or really anything, you can use anything that's around you to make any kind of predictions. That's when we're getting into omen readings, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is interconnected. So the principle that all this is really based off of is that interconnectedness, and that whatever's going on in consciousness right now, it's going to be related. So if I have a thought that pops up, right, that's going to produce it's going to affect the consciousness around me. So now, because everything's interconnected, I can tell based off what's happening also in the consciousness that it's going to give me some information back to that other thing, because they're all related, if that makes sense. Okay. So even the planets and stuff, what are we really saying? It's the omens of the planets. With card readings, it's the omens of cards. But you can, I've been able to make accurate predictions just off of just omen readings, just off of what the flame of a candle looked like in the moment that something was happening, to know based off of that if it was going to be good or not. So it's all fundamentally based on this and psychic work, mediumship, of interconnectedness, that everything is connected. And because of that, it's kind of almost like this limitless, idea. If everything is connected, then all of the information is connected on some level, and that's kind of what you're tapping into with psychic work. is that collective consciousness, that pool of information and knowing.
Okay, so
all right.
Was that clear? I don't know.
I feel you. So let's go here. I'm gonna get you real quick. So with that being said, accurate predictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
I'm sure the two things you probably hear the most is between, will I get $1 million and when I'm gonna die? Out of those two questions, which one do you get asked the most and which one do you hate the most trying to figure out?
Yeah, so I won't look into things like that, like when you're gonna die. I don't see the usefulness in that. So, and I also do believe that you have 3 different potential times in your life that you can die, and that you're always connected with your higher self, with the rest of your soul being. So there's really only this tiny percentage of your soul that's in this body having this human experience. So your higher self can make that decision. Is my soul work here done? Do I still have more work to do, or do I have the potential with the route that I'm on to do what I came here to do, or is it time to move
walk
on,
through that light,
to become reborn back into the spirit world and do it all over again and have another go? So I won't look into stuff like that. I haven't come across too many people actually reaching out to me about money predictions, and that's really just, that hasn't been my niche of study. Okay. There are astrologers that is their complete niche, is financial astrology. I can tell you enough of is it gonna, when you might have a more lucrative time financially. So if you're going through a rut right now, I can kind of look and be like, don't worry, June, you're going to come out of it, or whatever, or explain maybe why you're even having to go through that process or whatever. So I kind of come at it with that angle, but if, I really try to steer people away from things like that, because I feel like when you're even focused on stuff like that, you're kind of missing a lot of the spiritual part of what this is. And
you're inviting that into your spirit, and inside your bubble, right?
Glad you said that, because my money funny right now.
There's nothing wrong with wanting abundance, finance. But if that's your only focus, then you probably have some other things out of balance. But you can do great things with abundance, right? You can make a great impact in the world. So you should think that money is evil. You don't want to have that mentality. You want to have an abundance mentality and invite it into you, because there's a lot of
it's kind of like when they say speak it into existence.
Well, I'm inviting all forms of monetary gain into my existence. Food stamp cards, cash apps.
It's already here. Is what you really need to be saying.
It's already here.
It's already here.
I
just need the access to it. You know what I'm saying?
I need the PIN number.
And the routing number. Thank you.
I think more the direction. So, and the niche that I'm trying to go in with my work is more about the self-discovery aspect, the healing aspect, relationships, that kind of thing. But there's plenty of astrologers that finances are their thing, and they'll be happy to answer that question with you or work with you to try to get you to obtain that. And I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with abundance in your life, but it just hasn't been what I've been drawn to. So, and I think because of that, maybe that's why I'm just not getting those types of requests.
Makes sense.
Right. Okay. So let's shift gears a bit. All right. Is there such a thing of planets of love, and how many are there? You turned me on to this one gentleman named Ernst William. Yeah. And I found him very interesting. He spoke on a lot of things. He's gonna make me break down and go buy some books and stuff, and I'm gonna get a notebook as well, so I can start taking some notes. But what are the three planets of love?
Yeah. So to just quickly answer that, and then I'm going to give a little more backstory of what we're talking about.
Okay.
But the three planets of love, what you're actually talking about is the 3 active planets of love, and that's Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. But every planet has its own expression of love. But those are the 3 active. Those are going to be the ones that are going to mostly get you involved with with things. And of course,
can you break down the significance of each planet?
Yeah, so what I'm actually going to do, so what we're talking about here is Ernst Wilhelm. He is a very talented and respected Vedic astrologer. He is somebody that I indirectly follow for my studies. He has courses out there that are all self-paced, forums from previous students and current. So I've never even had a reason to actually have to reach out to him because he's just got so much information out there that it's like you can just go to town on your own, and it's so he has such a gift for teaching.
Right.
So
he's very informative.
Yeah.
Very.
And it's digestible. So it's like you're able to understand what it is he's saying to you, and he just has such a way with explaining things. So it's Ernst Wilhelm again, and I can make a comment and link some of his work in here too.
Okay.
But what he did was he has a series called Having More Love in Your Life, and it's a free 17-part video series. And he kind of goes into explaining how can we have more love in our life, and what does that look like, and how can we use the lens of astrology to kind of explain how to do this. But what's really great about what he did with this series is that he didn't make it so that you have to be an astrologer or you have to have this foundation of astrology
to understand it.
You'll learn some stuff for sure about astrology, but you don't have to have that basis to get what you need to get from the series. But I think that it's just beautiful that he did this. It's such a work of light that he did it for free. And again, I'm sure we can post that link somewhere for people.
Okay.
To explain everything that's in this series
yes.
is not going to happen in this in this segment. But definitely check it out. And one thing that I am offering to people is when you go through this, you're going to hear him talk about healing placements, something called your Lajitadiya Vashtas and your Rahu and Ketu placements. And one thing that I've been offering to pretty much anybody since this course has came out is if you get through all 17 videos. Okay, you don't have to take notes or do any of that, but if you actually take the time to go through all 17 videos, I will sit down with you and do an in-depth session where we go over all those healing placements that he's talking about in that in those classes. So, but it's really great stuff, and so he kind of explains these different types of love that we can observe. So, the three main active ones that we had said, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. The one that we're all kind of talking about and looking for is that Venus love, which makes sense, right? It's the planet of harmony and beauty and of love. So that Venetian love, it's sustainable and it's committable. So that's what we're all really looking for. And then it goes into, Mars can kind of be more of that hard love. You can kind of see the expression of Mars like with your dentist, right? And he goes into this idea of that love is utility, and he quotes Paramahansa Yogananda with this, that love is utility. And at first, and he even says this, and he kind of goes into his own storytelling here about how he completely rejected that idea. He was like, that is so cold, that is so heartless. What do you mean it's based off utility? That's about being useful. That's not what love is about at all. Like what? But he said over the years, the more that he contemplated it, the more that he finally started to understand what it was that he was talking about, and that it is fundamentally true. Even when you look at your love for God or for the universe, whatever word you want to put there, you are useful to God, right? You're useful to God by being here. You're doing the work of God just by being here. None of us are really the doers. And in return, God is useful to you. So even in that relationship, it's founded on the sense of utility. But so it just kind of goes in that with every planet, that is still an aspect of it, is the ways in which it is useful or not useful, and that kind of shapes which, planet.
So are there levels? Are there different levels to love? Because I think that we love different things of people differently. Like the love you have for your children and your parents is different from the love that you would have for like your mate, which would be different from the love that you have for like your favorite food or your favorite clothing item or something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, because if you think about it, they're useful to you in different ways. Mm-hmm. Your kids are useful to you in a different way than your spouse is useful to you.
Definitely.
Yeah. For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, better be.
Definitely.
But yeah, so and he goes into this actually. So he kind of breaks it up into three parts. He goes, you have emotional love, material love, and then spiritual love.
Okay.
you know, so, and he goes into all this. So I'm not gonna, he's got this course out and it's free and it's on YouTube, so I'm not gonna do it.
Go look it up. Do your own research.
By trying to teach it to you.
You know what I'm saying?
But it has helped me. It's helped a lot of people that I've shared it with. And he has an active Facebook page too for it. Again, under Having More Love in Your Life, where if you've kind of like already watched the 17-part series, you can go on there, and if you have any questions, you can ask questions. If you want to discuss something, you know, whatever, it's there, and he's active on it as well too.
And what I would do is I will post a link on my page and also on the Bare Naked Truth page. So if you're interested, you know, and you want to check it out, go to the Bare Naked Truth page and hit the like button, subscribe and share, and hit the link and watch, and so you can receive some of that information. Yeah,
I will say this too. In the first video right away, before you can have any of the love in your life, and we've all heard this, and it's almost cliche at this point, but it's true. You have to have self-love first. You have to be useful to yourself first and know how to be useful to yourself in order to be able to be useful to anybody else. Because you also have to know what you're offering.
Right.
You're useful to yourself. Man,
come on now.
Now hold on. That's a whole another 17-part series right there.
Before we go any further, for the ones out there that want to know, T.O., a.k.a. Tony, a.k.a. Anthony, that's what she broke me down
he gonna fight you. He gonna fight you for that one.
That's what she broke me down on earlier, man. You understand what I'm saying? So there you have it.
I knew we was gonna get it.
Yeah, hey, you know I wasn't gonna let him ride too far. You know I wasn't gonna let him ride too far down the street before I got it.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's what she got me on, man. You know what I mean? She brought to my attention that I need a little more self-love, you know what I'm saying, and stop pouring so much love into others.
So you have to say, self, I love you.
At the cost.
And give yourself
a hug. At the cost, right.
Did you have to give yourself a hug too in the mirror?
No.
What if he did?
No, right.
Yeah, you know.
See, it's good. So,
it's
you know.
Good. It's all right. Hug yourself in that mirror.
Yeah, hug.
Do that.
You know, hug a tree. There you go.
Yeah.
I guaranteed you.
Hug
I mean,
tree,
no,
man,
for real.
I can't even reach my arms around me. Whatever. Anyway. All right,
no. Hugging yourself actually works.
Mm-hmm.
It actually works. When you're down, hug yourself, hug a tree, hug a friend.
Okay.
You know?
All right, so let's step away from this for a minute. Just curious, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh man,
when you just relaxing, chilling, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
So like for fun, or like what does my day look like? Like what?
I don't want
spare time.
Like spare time, what you do for fun?
What do I do for?
You know, some people think when you come to this stuff, like this is just it. Like this is just it.
No,
like man, do you like going bowling? You like watching movies with some popcorn or
I mean,
a glass of wine
I'm a normal,
or what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm a normal person for sure. So one of my jobs right now, while I'm still kind of in school studying all this stuff, is but it's also like a passion of mine. So it's hula hoop dancing, and then I'm also learning to like walk on stilts. So I do that for fun. As well as for work, so I get lucky there to be able to do it both ways.
You want people to sit down at the strip, just walking on the stilts.
Yeah, I'm getting to it. Yeah, I've been practicing. But yeah, just do normal things. I like music. I see shows a lot. This is my passion though, so I'm not gonna lie to you. I spend a lot of time.
That's cool. I mean, just
time on it. But,
outside of that, so
yeah, just anything really, like normal stuff. I like going bowling. I like music. I like what do you want to know?
Working on levitation next, y'all.
Yeah,
just so you
know. For sure.
Okay,
and with that question, all right. I would like to know, what is your objective, and and how will you proceed to share your gift with people? How would you get your gift out there? To help people.
Yeah, I mean, as far as getting it out there right now, it's been a lot of word of mouth, which has been great because it's worked for one person. It's worked well enough for them that they're telling their friends about it, and their friends are seeing the difference in them, so now they want one. So a lot of it's been word of mouth, and right now I'm allowing myself. I think a lot of people kind of fall into the trap of, okay, I know this is for me. Let me profit off of it right away, and I really want to give myself that time to kind of study so that I can really be giving everybody the best information that's tried and true, and I can come to you with confidence and say, okay, I've spent however many years practicing this, and this is what it is. So right now, though, what's great about that for everybody else as well, and still, being a student with it and as well as practicing it, is that everything's free. So everything's donation based. If you have something to give, you feel like it was worth to give, go ahead and that's great. But I really offering it to everybody just as a way for me to gain experience, be able to look at all kinds of diverse charts. Maybe you have a question I've never heard before, so it's helping me on that end. And then, of course, it gets to help you. But there's so many things that you can do with this. But the ultimate goal is to really give people the resources and tools to be able to empower themselves and follow their own guidance. I don't want you to become dependent on me and have to turn to me for guidance for every second. And
calling at 4 a.m. Look,
in the start, that's fine, right? As we're healing and we're working on stuff, to have that mirror, that's important. But the ultimate goal is to get you to be self-reliant, to be empowered, to embark on your own healing and spiritual journey and aid in that. And all of these things are just tools to do that. Mediumship is so powerful. It's healed me in a lot of ways with grief, and it's not something that you can just find in grief counseling. To just have that kind of closure and something that is evidential to let you know that your loved ones are around you at all times. There's, I don't really know anything that's more powerful than that with grief. So it's really limitless. And the more that I learn, the more that I explore, the more that I'll have to offer. And
Right. So look, with that being said, she had to reiterate that to me multiple times. I told her, I said, well, look, it's a good thing that you said that, because I'll be that one that'll be calling you 4 in the morning.
Hey, Victoria, I got a whole pack of Skittles, and 30 of them was red and only 4 was blue. What that mean?
Right. I'm like, hey, sissy, I need a reading. I'm having this feeling, I need a reading. So, but no.
So they ain't have no more Fruit Loops in the box I like, but they had
example of how I do this. So it's kind of like our experience this time, kind of doing the reading was a really good reading. Should honestly, there should be a sense of it really resonating with you, and the truth of it. It shouldn't be something off the wall that makes your stomach go like, oh wait, what'd she just tell me to do? There's different, it depends how self-aware you are,
And people, I'm sorry, excuse me. When I tell you, she gets me every time. I'll be fighting back tears, and she gets me every time. You know,
cry in the car.
And that's the part too, like, of intuitive counseling. It's kind of what you're doing. Is like I'm using my wisdom from my higher self to be able to know what to say at the right time. It's not like it's kind of like a stream of consciousness when you're in that. It's intuitive counseling.
Right.
And like I said, these are just tools. But even if you took away these tools, you still have that intuition and that ability to connect to everything that's in right here. It doesn't, there's so many ways. There's so many different paths, and that's the other thing too, is that find your path. If something in this inspires you, go for it. And then if you find something else that's even more inspiring, go for that. You don't have to follow. Just because you see something that you like what somebody else is doing, it doesn't mean that you have to verbatim follow their path. And in fact, it's really important to not do that. It is said that following one's dharma or their soul purpose incorrectly is better than following somebody else's dharma or soul purpose perfectly.
What is a dharma?
Dharma is like your soul purpose. So like kind of like
gotcha.
why did you reincarnate? What are you here for?
What are you here for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's your purpose. So,
Got you. Well, I got about 2 more questions for you.
Golly, all them questions, man.
Hey, I asking all them questions. No, I'm not.
Gosh almighty, man.
Dang it.
Get it together.
No, that's
Are you done?
Get him involved here.
Shoot, I'm gonna ask what I gotta ask. Now, can I ask my question?
All right, man.
All right, so I got a question.
I hit a sweet spot, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Yes, you did. I'm crying in the car.
All
All right. So my question is, 1, are you dating? It's going somewhere. It's just
okay.
Like, yes or no. Just say yes or no. You ain't got.
Yes.
Okay. So, when you date, I'm assuming it's a guy. I know it's 2022, but I'm assuming it's a guy.
Okay.
When you meet guys, especially like the one you're dating now, was he intimidated by your ability? Like, did that kind of scare him off? Did you let him know up front, or is it something you kind of hold off? Like, well, you do understand I do this, right?
The guy that I'm dating now, I met on a plane, and he had tattoos of Saturn on him, and I actually gave him a reading on the plane. when I first met him. So he knew right off the bat. And then when we reconnected, we're both from the same, living in the same town, but we were going, on a journey. When we reunited, I told him about the psychic mediumship, but he happened to be really into all that stuff, so I didn't get any resistance there. And then as far as, I think he understands that this isn't something that's out of reach for people now.
Right.
I think it's become a lot more normalized for him. So I don't think that it's this big, huge intimidation factor. As far as him seeing this stuff firsthand, he definitely has. In more than a few ways, it's gotten him in trouble a few times.
Man, bro.
So,
you can't be slick. Can't be slick, players. She already on to you.
So that's been cool too. But it's been he's super supportive, and I've been really lucky in that department. And we even do practices together to strengthen both of our intuitions. So it's something he's working on as well.
And pretty cool and down to earth, might I add. I spoke to him last night on the phone, and I mean, he spoke like him and I have been friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
And Marcus.
Go ahead and shout out to Matt Varner.
Right. Yeah.
So that was
pretty cool
my last
guy.
question. The question of questions.
All
The
right.
questions of questions. Let's
Question
get
of
to
questions. I gotta ask it, bro, because it's been burning me since we started. But I was like, I'm gonna hold it to the end.
Yeah.
Do you watch Marvel movies? Please say yes. Please say yes.
Yeah,
Please say yes. Okay. Just all I need to know. Who's your favorite out of Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and Wong, and why?
Oh my gosh, I don't watch Marvel like that.
Question of questions. Question of questions.
Okay,
And I only chose them because I know, you do your readers and stuff like that, and they kind of tied to the mystic arts also.
well,
mystical and the
I'll say this.
science,
How this? I'm gonna have to get back to you because I'm gonna have to look into them now.
Okay.
That they can
Yeah.
tie into it because I probably will enjoy all three, and then I'll have to call in one day and give you my answer.
And you will.
For that.
And with that being said, I just thought of something else. Is astral projection real?
Yes.
Okay. So I need to say.
Oh, this is
So,
another thing too, guys.
hold up. Explain that to me.
So,
Astral
If you watch
projection.
you've seen Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I watched Doctor
A lot of
Strange.
that is astral projection.
Okay.
Especially in the first one, where he be asleep.
Yeah.
And his spirit be reading books
right,
and going
right,
to
doing
different
all that kind of
places.
stuff. Yes. So like a out of body experience, pretty much.
yeah, so you're
I would say so. Yeah.
so your spirit is going into the astral dimension. I really want to leave everybody with this. Do your research. There's all of this stuff is really becoming unearthed at this point in time, and don't get left behind in the dark. Okay, so there are.
That's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it's
Yeah,
really
it is.
there's stuff mainstream on Netflix, Amazon Prime movies, whatever, that they talk about how the government has been doing remote viewing, which is it's a little bit different from astral projection, but you can use it together or it can be separate, but that the government uses psychics. All this is out there. It's documented. It's a very real thing. So just kind of, but when you have to be open to it, to eat for these experiences to come in. If you're really closed off and you don't want to know anything about it, it's just never it's not gonna cross your path the same way. But when you're open to it and you like you're interested in those things, they'll come to you. But definitely do your research and look, because the stuff is it's really becoming a lot more mainstream and acknowledged, and it's about time.
Okay.
Awesome.
You got any more questions, sir?
I had a couple more, but I wasn't going to read through them because she's pretty much answered a lot of them. Okay. But I just had one to where whom and to whom where and by whom was tarot card invented.
Yes, so I'm so glad
we discussed that one before.
Yes, so I'm so glad you asked that, because I'm going to take Ernst Wilhelm's take on this, actually. Okay. So the way he describes it in one of his courses is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it came from. First off, it's debated. So some people say, it originated, in Babylonian times, and some people say, it's from India or it's China, or it doesn't matter, because it's something that is so fundamental. you're talking about the human, like when the major arcana is pretty much describing the human psyche, and then the pip cards are describing nature. So that is something that is fundamental. It's kind of like asking, like, who invented math? Who got the 2 + 2? You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that Fibonacci sequence, dude. Right. Me and him need to talk.
Yeah. But it's something that, you know, each culture can completely have a rise and fall, and this is gonna still come back. So to have to be, you know, worried about who to give credit to for it, it doesn't matter. It's a language of the human race.
Okay. And so I thought I was done.
Thank you for clarifying
with my questions, but I've noticed throughout the show you've been holding a spherical object in your hand, and it appears and it disappears and it comes back, and I'm like, well, where is it going? No. So what is
I was going to ask her to explain what that is, cause
and the stones that you're wearing and stuff.
Because I think she handed that to me earlier, you know. So I'll let her explain first before I go any further.
Yeah. So here's a little astrology lesson. So Mars can be what kind of rules over stones and gems. My Mars is debilitated, so I use crystals, but I'm not an expert on them, and my sisters and friends can tell you a lot more than I know. But this is lepidorite, I want to say.
Okay.
Something like that. But it's really good for emotional balance and clarity and kind of like stabilizing of your moods. I believe in this particular one there's actual there's like remnants of lithium, which lithium can be used to treat like bipolar disorder. So
you need to get T.O. a couple of those. Let him roll around. Roll these joints around in his hand.
So will you explain to them why did you hand it to me earlier?
So earlier you're kind of you know, you're holding some space for some emotions. We had to come and do this, you know. So it was like, you know, hey, hold this, put your energy into it, let it kind of balance you out and soothe you and seem to work. I also am kind of using it as like a you know, fidget.
Stress relief.
I can tell you, I'm like, yeah, word. I can put the pen down and everything.
Yeah, but also it does you know, crystals also do hold their own energetic properties, and you know, that's not my area of expertise, but I definitely, you know, worked them in my own personal life and in my meditation practices, and 10/10 recommend. You know?
Now, I could say this about crystals. I was at work one time, and I was going through like a lot of stressful stuff in life, and one of the guys I worked, he had like a crystal. I don't know which one it was. He was like, "Hold this." And, you know, I held it for like 5 minutes. Like, all right, get back. And he was like, "Yo, you're going through some stuff." I'm like, how do you know? He's like, because like this crystal is extremely hot right now, and it was like, I was like, yo, how did you know that? You know what I mean? But he was like, you know, I can feel it. He was like, you probably feel a little calmer now, right? Like, yeah, a little bit. Right. You know, that's wild, and you know, and I guess stuff like that we see and we don't really realize it.
Right.
Because it threw me. I was like,
can I validate that whole experience for a second? Right. Marcus, what happened?
Oh, what you do, man?
What happened?
Well, she handed it to me, and you know, I played with it for a while, you know, and I started to calm a little. My mood started to soothe a little more, right? So at some point, I just I gave it back to her.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "It's hot." She's like, "You put a lot of energy into this." Then she took it and put it on my arm, and it was hot.
Like not just warm,
not like, warm, okay, but it was hot.
What I'm saying, like, you can feel it, like, okay, that's wild.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And of course, your body heat. Transfers.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been that hot though.
It's like it gets. I mean,
could have cooked the egg on that joint.
Yeah. But definitely, you know, there's crystal shops popping up all over. So get with somebody that you know, is an expert in that field, and they'll help you figure out what crystals, you know, you can incorporate into your life and your daily routines or your jewelry or, you know, whatever. But I think too, like just setting, even if you don't, okay, fine, if you don't want to believe in crystals that actually has an effect, you have to at least believe in the fact that setting intentions and being intentional makes a difference in your life. You know, and we've really lost that as a culture and as a society. One of the jobs that I do is I officiate weddings. So
y'all hear that? She officiates weddings, meaning that she's ordained to marry couples.
And yeah, so one thing I've noticed is that nobody wants to ever pay attention to the actual ritual part of the ceremony, the actual scripts or the vow exchange. It just wants to be like rushed through. And it's like, you gotta set the intention, though.
Yeah, I just want the ring. I just want the ring.
Yeah, I want the ring.
I want the crystal.
The celebration. And like, okay, I get it. You know, you're nervous up there or whatever. You just want to get through it. But it's like, that's where you're setting the intention of your union with that person. But it's in everything. I feel like people just don't, you know, that lack of mindfulness and that lack of intention, and that kind of goes into like manifestation, all that. It's real. But just, I mean, living with intention has so many benefits to it. So even if you don't believe that crystals can have any actual energetic benefit to you, if you're setting the intention of today I'm gonna have a good day, and you're going that extra mile of like, cause I'm gonna bring this crystal with me, and it's gonna have just that mindset, you know, it is going to make a difference in your life. So
okay,
give it a try.
Well, I mean, I'm tapped, bro. You got anything? Did you want to do the Know Your Truth real quick?
Well, I was waiting. Yes, sir. Okay. I was going over that. So yes, I have a segment here called Know Your Truth. I like to share a little knowledge of articles or things that I ran across that I found interesting. So today's Know Your Truth is about Kellogg and the inventor of Kellogg's cereal. And it's about John Harvey Kellogg. He was the father of prepared breakfast in the food industry, and he was born February 26, 1852. He lived to be 91 years old.
Did you purposely make that my birthday, or?
No, I did not. I did not.
Not the year.
That was Mercury speaking to us.
But
synchronicity. I'm in the right place.
Yeah, you see that, right? February 26th, which he lived to be 91 years old. And the article stated, due to fresh air and clean eating, he was a vegetarian. So he lived off a vegetarian diet. He was advocated for clean and biological living. All right. He was a physician, nutritionist, and an inventor, and a medical missionary. He believed that a great moral reform of sex. However, he believed that bland food would reduce people's urges to masturbate. You know, he also had a brother, W.K. Kellogg. He was responsible for the mass production of the cereal. Now, what they used to do was, when he ran his practice, he would give his patients Kellogg cereal, you know, to tie them over, you know what I mean, and to reduce their sexual tensions before he, you know, operated on them or, you know, he saw them or anything. So he would feed them breakfast, and they never knew why. They thought he was just being a generous guy.
He didn't want nobody getting bonus when he was still operating on this.
They thought he was just being a generous guy. You know, he created the Kellogg cereal.
So he was giving people cornflakes.
Giving people cornflakes in the morning. His patients. Yeah, and there's a long story behind it. Mm-hmm. Long story. I just pretty much summarized it.
You hear that? You hear that? If you want to go on a date and you don't want them thinking about sex, feed them some cornflakes before y'all go out. And then be all right.
Yeah.
It's a different marketing angle.
Yeah. It would lower your libido.
If you feel the urge to get on Pornhub at the wrong time, that urge kick you while you at work, eat a bowl of cornflakes.
John Harvey Kellogg.
It'll knock that right on out. You won't even feel the need no more.
Yeah. Get into
now,
it.
Do you know, was that ever like proved or disproved? Or did
no, it was proven.
It was proven.
Yeah.
So bland food really.
Bland food, yes.
Wow.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Well,
yep.
I'm sorry, I can't eat nothing bland.
So I guess that's why African Americans start seasoning their food.
There's way too many that can come from it.
Right.
Oh man, just bland food. Like, all right. Well, look, yo. That was Know Your Truth, man. Brought to you by your playground partner.
All right.
I don't have any more questions for Miss Paige today, brother. Do you?
No, sir. I think that'll be all for me.
Okay. So what I want you to do right now is look in the camera.
Okay.
And plug your info. Let people know how they can find you, like on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you may be at.
Okay. Yeah. So right now I'm just on Facebook.
Okay.
But I am going to start an Instagram page probably just for this so that people can reach out if you don't have Facebook. So it'll just be those two things, and we'll kind of maybe post everything with all the information about Ernst and
yes.
all of that of where to reach me. But my Facebook should be tagged right into the segment.
All of the posts and the segments, yes.
Yeah, so just message me right on there, and like I said, everything is donation based. If you don't have anything to give, please don't let that stop you. You don't have, but I'm here to help, and I'm so grateful to you guys that you guys are doing this, that you guys have watched your other podcasts,
yes.
and the people that you have coming on here are really spitting truth. You guys are really facilitating that. You're spitting your truth, and I was really honored to be a part of this today. So
thank you.
We're glad to have you.
We're very honored to have you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you for traveling all the way from Charleston, people.
You know what I'm saying? Not Charleston White.
Right? That's another segment though, cause boy, they in his head now, boy.
Oh yeah,
they are.
So we'll definitely we might speak on that next episode. Then.
Indeed,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
All right, so like we said, man, we enjoyed y'all being here, and you know who it is? It's your favorite cousin. I don't like that look.
And it's your playground partner.
And we are the BNT Podcast. We are out.
All right,
peace.
Deuce.
Powered by Virginia Radio.